Welcome to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I am going to talk about the New York Giants compensation picks. Now, I did a video, I think it was mid-season this year, where I talked about that the New York Giants will be awarded 4 compensation picks because that is what the article said. And at the time, that was the truth. The New York Giants were awarded 4 compensation picks, but that has since changed. And in this video, I'm going to do my best. I did a lot of research. I went on NFL.com, and I get asked this question all the time. How do compensation picks work, and how many picks will the New York Giants be awarded, and when will we know when they will be awarded them? Of course, right now, if you look at all the mock drafts, they don't take into account compensation picks. That is because at the end of March, now I've read some in February. From what I read, it's the end of March, right around when free agency is when we will get official word of how many compensation picks the New York Giants will be awarded. But if you do your research, you can pretty much figure out how many they're going to be awarded and where they're going to be awarded. But in this video, I want to explain what exactly a compensation pick is, how it's awarded, and how some can be taken away. Now, the reason that comp picks were instituted was back when the NFL in 1994 decided to go with free agency with the salary cap and everything else. And basically, they wanted to award teams the ability, if they do lose players, to get compensated in some way, shape, or form, which is why they instituted the compensation pick. Back in the day, you could actually be awarded first and second round picks. The way it works now is the top guys, the highest you can get is the back end of a third round, right around pick number 100. And then third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round, depending on the value of the free agent that you lost. I'm going to get into that as well, how that is exactly determined in terms of where they are slotted, and whether or not you get compensated at all for the loss of a player, because obviously there's a ton of free agents when it comes to NFL free agency, and only 32 compensation picks are awarded in total, and one team can only have a total of 4. If you have 5 or 6, automatically, before you even bring in anybody, you lose 2 picks. And some of the teams that have been doing this for years and doing it successfully are the New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers, teams that do not go out there and spend a bunch in free agency, which makes it even more beneficial to bring in guys. And before you laugh, there have been a lot of great players that have been compensation picks. Larry Allen, Tom Brady, and in more recent times, guys like James Conner, Dak Prescott, Blake Martinez, Justin Simmons. There's been another number of others that have been very good players, and a lot of those guys get paid when they hit free agency. And it's very important to take advantage of the system like the New England Patriots have done, but you're not going to be able to do it if you go on spending sprees every time you get money. So to break this down as simply as I can, and I'm not saying the Giants should not sign big free agents this year. I think they could use one big piece if it makes sense. But to break this down in the simplest of terms, let's say the Giants lose Marcus Golden this year. And Marcus Golden gets paid $13 million a season, and they would be awarded, we'll say, a 4th-round pick. If they then go out there and sign a Unique Ngakoue to replace him, that is voided. That is negated because the Giants brought in a better player at a higher price tag than the player that they lost. So when you do that, you lose compensation picks. So it kind of defeats the purpose. Not defeats the purpose. There's obviously a clear need to bring in a guy like that. But my point is, you will lose those picks, and that is why the New England Patriots never lose them. You look at a Nate Solder. They let Nate Solder walk to the Giants. The Giants couldn't get a 5th or 6th round pick if they tried right now for Nate Solder with his price tag. But the Patriots, I believe, got a 3rd round pick for him, being that he was the highest paid left tackle in the sport at the time. So that is what the smart organizations do. That is what the New England Patriots have done for years, and that is why they remain consistent. Because they don't sign guys that give them 1 or 2 good years and then fall off the map, which is what free agents usually do. Instead, they get rewarded picks. They get guys on cheap salaries. They bring them in. They fit their system, and they continue to move. And that's what the New York Giants have to strive to get to in the near future, which is why it makes less and less sense to spend big in free agency. This is even more of a reason, in my opinion. But like I said in this video, I want to get into why they're taken away, why they're rewarded, things like that. So I'm going to jump into some of the quotes that I pulled up from NFL.com, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what a comp pick is and how they're awarded and how they're taken away. As the NFL explains, compensatory picks are awarded to teams that lose more or better compensatory free agents than they acquire. The number of picks a team can receive equals the net loss of compensatory free agents, up to a maximum of 4. Compensatory free agents are determined by a secret formula based on salary, playing time, and postseason honors. Not every free agent lost or signed is covered by the formula. Although the formula has never been revealed, by studying the compensatory picks that have been awarded since they began in 1994, I've determined that the primary factor in the value of the picks awarded is the average annual value of the contract the player signed with his new team, with an adjustment for playing time and smaller adjustment for postseason honors. So, to sum that up in a nutshell, the more money the player makes, the better comp pick that you get. Which is why when Landon Collins got overpaid, in my opinion, by the Washington Redskins, the Giants were then awarded a third-round comp pick. They were also awarded 3 additional seventh-round picks, but I'm going to get into why they lost some of those picks in the remainder of this video. In order to qualify the comp equation, a player must have been a true unrestricted free agent whose contract had expired or was voided after the previous season, i.e. he cannot have been released by his old team. He must sign during the unrestricted free agency period, which ended in July 27th last year, in this, when they're talking about free agency in this particular year. If he signs after June 1st, he must have been tendered a June 1st qualifying offer by his old team. Obviously, most free agents are signed way before June 1st, usually at the end of March. His compensatory value or contract value must be above a specific minimum amount, and he cannot have been permanently released by his new team before a certain point in the season, which seems to be after week 10 or possibly before getting a certain amount of playing time, unless he was claimed off of waivers by another team. So, for instance, Janoris Jenkins, the New York Giants cannot be awarded a comp pick for because he was released. Now, they wouldn't have been awarded a comp pick for him anyway, which is why I'm sure Gettleman had no problem releasing him, because they're going to spend in free agency, and more than likely, Landon Collins is not going to get a big price tag based on his age. So I don't really think they would have been awarded anything because the pick would have been voided when they go out there and they spend some money in free agency. He's not going to be a big-ticket guy like a Landon Collins. Next up is how it's determined and where they are slotted. So like I said, it's rounds 3 through 7. You get the picks at the back end of each round. There's 32 teams, meaning there's 96 picks in the first 3 rounds. The first comp pick that is awarded is pick number 97. And then, depending on how many teams have a comp pick in round 3, it goes on from there. So the Giants will be picking right around 99, 100 in that range with the Landon Collins pick. But the way it works is the top 5% of contracts that are signed in free agency are awarded a third-round pick, which is what Landon Collins was. The top 10% are a fourth, the top 15% are a fifth, the top 25% are a sixth, and the top 50% are a seventh. If it's outside of the top 50%, you are not awarded a comp pick. And yeah, there you go. So the other 3 players were ranked in the top 50% that the New York Giants lost, which is why they were initially awarded 3 seventh-round picks in addition to their third-round pick at the back end of the third round. And then this is what I wanted to pull up as well. There is a strict limit of 32 comp picks that are awarded every year. If the formula initially awards more than 32 comp picks, all picks ranked 33rd or below are not awarded. Although the league will still recognize that those picks would have otherwise been eligible for compensation. So, if they deem that, obviously there's more than 32, they're only going to take the top 32 contracts that were signed out of free agency. A team may not be awarded any more than 4 comp picks in 1 year. If the formula initially awards a team more than 4, the lowest of the picks over the per team limit or of the 4 are not awarded, although the league will still recognize that those picks have been awarded. So, let's just say hypothetically the Giants were awarded 2/3, 2/4, and 3/7. All 3/7 would be negated because they only take the top 4 picks per team. And it's almost impossible to get more than 4. It would be very hard. It would mean that you have to spend basically nothing in free agency. And then finally, there is this. This is where the New York Giants will be picking with their comp picks and why some were taken away. Their projected comp picks, they're projected to have 2. 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 7th. The reason they have the 1 in the 3rd, Landon Collins, that's their key free agency loss. The other, Jamon Brown. The key free agent additions, Golden Tate and Marcus Golden. The Giants' comp pick scenario seems pretty clear-cut. With the Landon Collins departure, landing them a 3rd rounder, and Mario Edwards moving to the Saints, netting a 7th rounder, the additions of Golden Tate and Marcus Golden cancel out the departures of Jamon Brown and B.W. Webb. So, there you go. That is why they will only have a third and a seventh, expected to be announced in late March. So because they signed a Golden Tate, which I can't really blame them for doing, being that after they lost Odell Beckham, they felt like they needed a target for Daniel Jones, and it only cost you what amounts to be at the end of the 7th round. It's not like you're losing a ton, but that is why they will not have a back-end 7th-round pick, and why they lost 2 of them, with the addition of Marcus Golden as well. Had a great year for the New York Giants. So there you have it. We'll have a back end of the 3rd. We'll have a back end of the 7th, in addition to 6 picks, because obviously we traded a 3rd-round pick in this year's draft for Leonard Williams for a total of 8 picks. So that is how you have it. They essentially lost a 3rd at the beginning. They gained back a 3rd at the end, and then they have an additional 7th-round pick. So the Giants will have 8 new players in this year's draft if they do not make any trades within the process. But yeah, I think this just goes to show you why the best teams remain where they are. They don't overspend in free agency, and because they do that, they are awarded additional picks, and sometimes those picks hit. You look at the Cowboys with Dak Prescott, you look at the Steelers with James Conner, Tom Brady helped the Patriots win a few Super Bowls. He was a comp pick. So, I just wanted to go over that with you guys, explain it in further detail. I wanted to learn more about it, so hopefully you guys did as well. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.